Alright, so in this video we're going to discuss something that is really confusing, and that is something that many people who are trying to lose weight get stuck on, and that is I'm in a calorie deficit but I'm not losing weight. Now this is something that like so many people have asked me this question, and I'm really surprised by this whole deal of why really people don't understand this basic equation. It's going to be confusing for you, but keep watching and I hope you will understand the whole deal. So when we are talking about this whole deal with I'm in a calorie deficit but I'm not losing weight, there are mostly two things to this problem. Number one being, when people come to me and say that I'm in a calorie deficit but I'm not losing weight, my first knee-jerk reaction to that question or that issue, that problem is, are you really in a calorie deficit by your definition? And by your definition I mean, are you really consuming the amount of calories that you think you are consuming? Okay, so there have been numerous studies done on this topic, and many studies have found that people underreport their calorie intake up to 50%. So that is something that is really shocking if you really understand what I'm trying to say here. So when you think you're consuming only 1500 calories, there is a chance that you're easily consuming up to 1800, 1900 or even more than 2000 calories. So the first step is to really assess if you are really in a calorie deficit by your definition. That means, are you really consuming the amount of calories you think you are consuming? Okay, that brings me to the foundation of this, not the foundation, the basics of calorie deficit. Okay, so if you have watched the previous video, you might obviously already know this, but by definition, okay, literally by definition, if you are in a calorie deficit, you have to lose weight. You cannot be in the scenario where you are in a calorie deficit and you are losing weight, at least in this universe, because it is the basic law of thermodynamics, it is the basic law of physics, basic law of nature, that energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. So if you are in a calorie deficit, that means your body has to dig into your fat stores in order to burn body fat as fuel, and if your body is burning your body fat as fuel, then your body has to lose fat and your body has to lose weight. And if you're not losing weight, then that just means that your body is not digging into your fat stores to burn body fat as fuel, and that just means that you are not in a calorie deficit. If I have already not made this too confusing. The end line is, you cannot be in a calorie deficit and not lose weight at the same time. Okay, so this brings me to the second point where most people get stuck on, and here is what mostly typically is the problem with this whole deal. So to put all of these things really simply, the second point really simply is, whatever amount of calories that used to work for you to lose weight, whatever amount of calories used to create a calorie deficit, is not really going to stay constant. What I mean by that is, say that you lose weight on a 2000 calorie diet. You say you started losing weight on a 2000 calories diet. You're not really going to keep losing weight on a 2000 calorie diet. Mainly because if at some point 2000 used to create a deficit, after losing some weight, many changes occur in your body, including the change in your weight that decrease your total energy expenditure. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack here a bit and I want you to stay with me. This already might be getting confusing and it might get more confusing, but we'll see how I can try to explain this more clearly. Okay, so your calories out and your calories in. Your calories in is your total energy intake, okay, and your calories out is your total energy expenditure. Your total energy expenditure has a longest formula that I really won't get into much, but in this formula that you can see on the screen, there are two things that change when there is a change in your weight, and especially when there is a loss in your weight. So these two things are your BMR, that is your basal metabolic rate, that is basically your metabolism, and the other is NEAT. Okay, so when you lose weight, say that you were 100 kilograms and you lost 10 kilograms and now you're 90 kilograms. Okay, then the BMR is literally calculated based on your weight. So when you decrease your weight, your BMR is also going to decrease. So if anything decreases or increases in this formula, it is going to have an effect on total energy expenditure. So if BMR decreases, it's going to decrease the total energy expenditure. When total energy expenditure, that means the calories out decreases, your calorie deficit is no longer a deficit. So BMR is one of the things that naturally decreases with your weight. The second thing is your NEAT. Okay, NEAT just means non-exercise activity thermogenesis, kind of sciencey word. All that means is you're fidgeting, your involuntary movement. You know, you see like how I'm waving my hands right now, or how I'm seeing here, and just basically involuntary movements, scratching my ear, blinking and things like that. All of these activities are naturally going to slow down when you lose weight, because your body is kind of short on energy and it's trying to manage energy as best as it can. So whatever is kind of unnecessary, like waving hands or fidgeting or scratching your ear, and any of these involuntary movements are going to be decreased a lot, and in that process your total energy expenditure, that is your calories out, is going to be decreased again. When calories out decreases, your deficit is no longer really a deficit. Okay, so basically the point to this whole deal is, whatever your calorie deficit, whatever the amount of calories were that used to create a deficit, are not really going to be constant for your entire weight loss journey, because your calories out is going to decrease and it's going to level out, and the deficit is no longer going to be a deficit. The basic or the obvious simpler thing in this scenario to do is basically to again try to increase your calories out, or try to decrease your calorie intake, your calories in. You can do both of these things according to your needs and according to your preferences. Ideally, I would recommend you to first max out your calories out. That means if you can just add an extra hour of cardio, or if you can just increase your training volume in your weight training sessions, or if you can increase the duration of your weight training, or if you can increase the intensity in your weight training, or if you just can add basically any activity, just playing with your kids, or gardening, or washing your car, or cleaning your house, any kind of activity is going to slightly increase your total energy expenditure. It's going to create that deficit again, and you're going to start losing weight again. The second thing you can do obviously is decreasing your calorie intake. Now, when I say decreasing your calorie intake, don't jump onto it too fast. Most people, when they don't lose weight for 3 days, they start to decrease their calories. Wait for at least 3 to 4 weeks and just make sure that you are really in a plateau and not really losing weight. Don't jump onto decreasing your calories. Don't lower your calories too much, because it can potentially harm your health, and it can potentially, cause many problems. And this is why it's very, very important to do all of these things under someone's guidance who is trained in all of these things and who knows the shit that he's talking about. Okay, so decreasing calorie intake is an option, and do that very wisely, whilst simultaneously maintaining your nutrition and maintaining the quality of your food, that is your micronutrients, your protein intake. You need to fuel your workouts properly, and all those kinds of things that I won't get into because the video already has gotten too long. So this is the major thing with this whole deal. So I guess this is the end of the video. The end message is, you cannot be in a calorie deficit and not lose weight. Don't fall for these traps of intermittent fasting, spiking your insulin too much. And don't fall into any trap that tells you that this is the reason because of which you lose weight. It is not calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is the primary thing that drives weight gain, clear by more than 100 years of research. Okay, follow these basic things, put all your effort in, have patience, and lose weight. That is it for this video. If you have liked it, please make sure you click the like button. If you have any question or doubt on this thing or any other topic related to weight loss, health, and longevity, obviously, then make sure you ask them in the comment section down below. And subscribe. That is very important for you and for me. So subscribe to this channel, press the bell icon, and do all those kind of things to stay updated on all the things that I upload. That is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.